All right, so hopefully you're getting better at recognizing the intervals and recognizing the motion types. Again, if you think about it, what these exercises do in addition to start sensitizing our ear to how two different lines of music are interacting with each other and what happens when we use dissonance, what happens when we use parallel motion, what happens when it's parallel motion of perfects, what happens when everything kind of clicks into place. We're also training, in essence, your brain to think about what's going on, as I always say, vertically, the balance of intervals and harmony, and what's going on horizontally, how melodic lines work. And music is always going to be kind of pushing or pulling in both of those directions. Is melody more important than harmony? Is harmony more important than melody? Are they equal? How do they interact? This is the kind of thing that all styles of music kind of deal with. And this is a way of beginning to understand some of the ways in which music can interact with each other when we have notes going, when we have notes start coming in combination with each other. So here we have a third above C, which is E. Here we have a 6 above D, which is B. A 10th above E, well, a third above E is G, so a 10th above it is G. A third above A, or above F is A. If you wrote the octave above, you have a 10th, this, which actually in some ways would have made more sense in terms of being a smoother, going up to the A an octave, but technically I'm asking for the third. So it's, yep, that line is dropping down. And then here is a G and we need a 6 above it, so that is E. And then it concludes on the octave. So again, like I said, there is no parallel motions. Let's see what our motions are. This went up from C to D. This went up from E to B. So both are going up, but the interval is different. That is similar motion. This went up to E. This went up to G. Different intervals. It's similar. This continued to go up, but this dropped down. That created the contrary motion. So I'm liking similar, similar, contrary. It's nice. This went up. This went up. Again, different. So similar. And then this went down and this went down, but different intervals, so similar. Well, only one contrary motion, lots of similar motion. So that's one thing that's going to impair this, is that it's a bit of an over-reliance on similar motion. So the contour is up and up and down and down. And then only here in this middle part do we have the contrary motion. Is it enough? Well, let's play it. We'll hear all consonant intervals. So again, this should sound good together. Well, certainly nothing unpleasant about it, but the biggest problem, even maybe bigger than the reliance of similar motion, is the contour of the melody of the upper line. There isn't any conjunct motion to be seen. Everything is disjunct. E to B is a big leap of a fifth. B to G is, you can just see it, a big leap of a sixth. G down to A, a big leap of a seventh, then a leap up again to E, and then a small leap of a third down to C. So the contour is very, very oh my gosh. Da, 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 da. It's very just like random points of light. It doesn't have a feeling of one note connecting to another. There's no smooth contour of line because nothing is stepwise. So we do not have what we're striving for, which is ultimately each line should have a smooth and melodic contour of it. This really, instead of feeling smooth, just feels like all these little random points. It's just a kind of very, very leapy, very, very disjunct. And you can just imagine some poor person trying to sing or play that line. There's no logic to it. Again, does it sound? Certainly sounds nice because of all the consonances, and they're actually, you know, similar and contrary motion. There's no parallel motion that makes it seem like a clone of each other, but man, really not creating a good line of music. So let's see what happens with this one. So E down to the octave, D, a sixth above is C, another sixth to D, to a third, B, to an octave, C. Now, we do have, I can see right away, we've got some parallel motion. Let's see if we have enough contrary or oblique or other kinds of motion types to balance it out. It is not the forbidden parallels of, I really shouldn't say forbidden parallels. It's not the parallel fifths and the parallel octaves, which create clones of each other. So it is parallel motion that will be appropriate for counterpoint. We can do parallel motions of thirds or sixths as long as we don't do too much. Let's take a look at the motion types. E down to D versus C up to D. We arrive at that octave in contrary motion. Very, very nice. D up to E, D down to C. They're going in different directions. More contrary motion. Here we do have the parallel motion. They're going the same direction in the same interval. Here we have another contrary motion. And then here, this one is almost all contrary motion with just a single moment of parallel motion to break it. That's going to sound really independent from each other. They're going to have their own contour. And you can just see as this one goes up, this one is going down. They briefly agree, but then almost immediately as this goes up and down, this goes down and up. It's almost the complete opposite contour of the bottom line. They're all consonant intervals. Ta-da! So it's going to sound good. And if we look at the line, step, 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 skip of a third, step. So almost entirely conjunct, just using a step of a third to create a little bit of contrast to all that stepwise motion. This is beautiful counterpoint. Yay! Here's the top line. You could probably try singing it back. You probably already have it in your head. La da 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 dum. Very easy to sing, very smooth. The bottom line, a little more boring because it's just up and then drops down, but nonetheless, da 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 dum. Very easy to sing, very smooth. Here they are together. They work so well together, they complement each other, they harmonize each other. Even that moment of parallelism where they suddenly feel like they're in complete agreement is really quite nice because they then go in their separate directions. We got a nice variety of intervals, thirds, sixths, octaves, and tenths. Beautiful counterpoint, works really well together. All right, so that's an introduction to the art of counterpoint. We'll see how counterpoint plays out in our four-part harmonies when we're starting to connect one chord model to another. We'll discover that counterpoint actually is being formed, and we'll see how we can get more complicated counterpoint than just one-to-one.